The galaxy watched in silence as the great chamber filled with light. Alien leaders stood in a perfect circle around a glowing scroll that hovered in the air. The scroll was more than paper. It was a symbol written in living energy filled with the languages of hundreds of species. Their voices carried across the stars as they spoke together, "Peace at last. The centuries of war are over." For a moment the galaxy believed it. Entire worlds lit up in celebration. Children danced in the dust of ruined streets. Refugees on shattered stations cried tears of joy. Merchants raised glasses and whispered that trade would flow again. Billions of beings dared to think that the endless age of destruction had finally ended. But far from the chamber, Earth stayed quiet. Humanity did not cheer. Humanity did not celebrate. From a hidden command center deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, human leaders watched the broadcast. Their faces were stern, their voices low. They had seen the speeches, the smiles, the glowing scroll. But they had also seen something else, something that most of the galaxy ignored. Satellites in orbit had picked up strange signals. Fleets that were supposed to be dismantled had not disappeared. Instead, they moved silently in dark corners of space. Massive stations near the treaty borders glowed with unfamiliar energy. To the rest of the galaxy, those stations were peace platforms. To humans they looked like war factories. The galaxy had been at war for so long that most species were simply tired. They wanted to believe. They needed to believe. But humans had learned a harder lesson from their own bloody history. Peace offered too easily was never real. The Great Peace Treaty, as the aliens called it, promised to disband fleets, destroy forbidden weapons and open trade between rival empires. On paper it was perfect. Too perfect. A team of human analysts pored over the fine print. They found clauses written in clever language, small enough to be missed, sharp enough to change everything. One line allowed temporary storage of heavy weapons without a time limit. Another permitted defensive patrols that could easily become invasions. Hidden inside the treaty was a weapon disguised as a promise. Commander Reyes, the head of Earth's Defense Council, leaned over the documents and whispered, "This is not peace. This is preparation." He wasn't the only one who felt it. The signals grew stronger every day. Energy surges near treaty stations pulsed like the heartbeat of a hidden army. Whole fleets disappeared from public records. And yet, every time a species asked for answers, the alien empires smiled and repeated the same words, "Trust the treaty." But humanity did not trust. On the lunar command base, human officers tracked every ship that moved through treaty space. They saw patterns no one else wanted to admit. Convoys shifted toward hidden docks. Supply lines rerouted with military precision. To a tired galaxy these details looked meaningless. To humanity they spelled one word: trap. A young human analyst named Kara worked long nights decoding intercepted transmissions. Her fingers moved fast across the console, piecing fragments of alien speech together. What she found chilled her. The messages spoke of a silent strike, a plan hidden beneath layers of lies. She brought it to the council, her voice shaking as she said, "They are not ending the war. They are preparing to win it in one final move." The council room went silent. The truth was too heavy to ignore. Humanity faced a choice. They could believe the lies, join the celebrations, and lower their defenses like the rest of the galaxy. Or they could stand apart, stay vigilant, and prepare for the storm they knew was coming. The choice was already made. Earth's skies filled with quiet movement. Stealth ships left hidden docks. Colonies in the outer rim activated defense shields. Factories disguised as trade centers shifted to build weapons. All of it was done in silence. No speeches, no declarations, only careful preparation. And still, to the galaxy, humanity played the role of a neutral observer. They sent diplomats who smiled in public, shaking hands at treaty ceremonies. They raised their glasses, bowed their heads, and spoke of peace. But behind the mask, every human leader whispered the same warning: this is not peace. This is war by another name. The galaxy did not want to hear it. Smaller species, desperate for safety, laughed at human suspicion. They called Earth paranoid, too young, too stubborn to understand how galactic politics worked. But deep inside some of them began to wonder. They saw the same strange shadows that humanity tracked. They felt the same unease. In the end, it was not humanity's silence that spread across the stars, but their whispers. Quiet rumors moved through markets, taverns, and refugee camps. The humans don't trust the treaty. The humans think it's a trap. The rumors grew, and with them, doubt. Above it all, the glowing treaty scroll burned bright, its light reaching every corner of the galaxy. Billions still believed in it. Billions still prayed it was real. But Earth's leaders looked at the same light and saw only fire, the kind that burns just before war begins again. The treaty was only days old when the first whispers began. At first, they were faint, rumors on distant trade routes, half-forgotten messages carried by tired pilots. A convoy that never arrived. A colony transport that went dark. Entire shipments of medicine and food swallowed in silence. The alien council dismissed them as accidents, the chaos of old war routes not yet healed. But humanity listened closely. In the underground command halls beneath Antarctica, human intelligence officers spread maps across wide tables. Red markers lit up one after another. Lost ships, missing colonies, unexplained disappearances. To the galaxy these were coincidences. To humanity they were pieces of a puzzle forming a dark picture. Kara, the young analyst, hardly slept. She leaned over the glowing console, replaying intercepted messages again and again. The words were coded, but patterns emerged. Strange phrases repeated: relocation complete, secured without resistance, and most chilling of all, preparations ahead of schedule. She showed the reports to Commander Reyes. His jaw tightened as he read. "They're not moving supplies," he said softly. "They're moving people. Whole colonies are being taken." The galaxy, blinded by its own hope, did not see it. Refugee worlds disappeared into the silence, erased as if they had never existed. When frightened voices asked the council for answers, alien diplomats smiled and said, "These are unfortunate delays. Peace takes time." But humanity did not believe in delays. From the lunar command base, telescopes and hidden probes tracked the dark. Strange energy signatures bled from treaty stations, the ones that were supposed to be dismantled. Instead of fading, their power grew stronger. It pulsed in steady waves, like the heartbeat of a giant beast waiting to wake. Human leaders met in secret. Around the long table of the Earth Council, tension filled the air. Generals argued for immediate action, strike the stations before it was too late. Diplomats warned against it. If humans acted first, the galaxy would call them warmongers. Reyes listened to both sides. At last he spoke, "We cannot strike yet. Not until we have proof strong enough to shatter their lies." And so, humanity watched. Humanity waited. But waiting was not weakness. Behind the silence, preparations grew. Hidden fleets moved into shadow zones where alien sensors could not see. Factories built ships under fake trade registries. Old war bunkers on Mars, abandoned since Earth's own wars, roared back to life. Still, the disappearances continued. One night, in the great observatory above Nairobi, human scientists picked up something chilling. A cluster of stars on the treaty border flickered, not with natural light but with fire. Whole systems had gone dark. Their signals vanished in perfect silence. The alien council explained it away. "A solar flare," they said. "Technical difficulties." But humanity compared the patterns with Kara's intercepted codes. The blackout zones matched the phrases exactly: relocation complete. It was no accident. Someone was erasing civilizations. The analysts began to call it the Silent War. A war that no one admitted existed. A war that the galaxy was too blind or too afraid to see. Humanity, however, could see clearly. Late one night, Kara sat at her console, her eyes red from sleeplessness. Suddenly, she caught a phrase hidden deep in an alien transmission. The words made her blood run cold. "The first phase is nearly finished. Soon the silent strike will begin." She carried the message to Reyes herself. He read it twice, then closed his eyes. "This is it," he said. "They're building toward something far worse than anyone suspects." The council chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Reyes gave the order, "Prepare the shadow fleets. Keep the mask of peace." But from this moment, Earth is at war, even if the galaxy doesn't know it yet. And so, while alien leaders continued to smile and toast the treaty, human warships drifted quietly into the dark. The galaxy thought the peace was real. The galaxy thought the war was over. Only humanity knew that the peace was a mask, and behind it, the shadows moved. Word count, 905. The treaty was only a month old when the galaxy felt its first true crack. A convoy of neutral ships, dozens of freighters carrying food, medicine, and fuel, vanished near the treaty border. No distress calls, no debris fields, nothing. Entire families were on board, bound for refugee worlds that needed supplies. When they never arrived, panic spread like fire. The alien council gathered at once. In the shining chambers of the treaty hall, ambassadors spoke with calm voices. "Pirates," they said. "A minor crime, nothing more. Trade will continue. And the galaxy believed them. But Earth did not. From the lunar base, human patrol drones swept the border where the convoy vanished. Their sensors cut deeper than any alien scans. Hours later, a grim discovery appeared on the screens, wreckage drifting among the stars. The ships had not vanished. They had been destroyed. Kara stood in silence as the images filled the command room. Hulls were burned clean through by energy blast. Cargo containers floated, split open like broken shells. But what struck her most were the scars, deep, precise marks carved by weapons that no pirate could own. These were not the tools of thieves. These were weapons banned by the treaty itself. She turned to Reyes, her voice tight. They promised to dismantle these weapons. Instead they used them. Reyes stared at the wreckage for a long moment. Then he said, "The treaty is already dead. The galaxy just doesn't know it yet." Human teams moved quickly, pulling fragments of metal into hidden labs. The analysis was clear. The attackers had used cloaked warships, invisible to standard scanners. These cloaks were illegal under the treaty, outlawed after centuries of abuse. But here they were, back again, hidden in the dark. When Earth tried to warn the Council, their voices were drowned. Alien leaders smiled politely, waved their hands and repeated the same words, "Pirates." Nothing more. But whispers spread. Traders spoke of missing friends. Refugee camps spoke of transports that never came. Small races began to wonder if the humans were right. Still, no one dared to believe the truth. Humanity did not stop. If the Council would not act, Earth would. Stealth ships left their docks in silence, hunting the black space near treaty borders. They did not strike, not yet. They only watched. What they found confirmed every fear. Alien war fleets were not disbanding, they were regrouping. Their ships wore false markings painted with the symbols of pirates. But their engines, their weapons, their movements all told the same story. This was not chaos. This was a plan. One night, deep in the hidden command chamber, Kara replayed a recording from a destroyed freighter. The final moments were grainy, filled with static, but the sound was clear. A child's voice, terrified, asking, "Why are there warships here? I thought the war was over?" The recording ended in silence. Her hands shook as she shut the console. Humanity had proof, but proof that no one wanted to hear. Reyes gathered his officers. His voice was low but firm. "The galaxy won't listen to our words. They will only listen to action. It's time we prepare the first move." But action meant risk. If humans struck openly, the galaxy would accuse them of breaking the peace. They would be painted as aggressors. And yet, if they waited, more convoys, more colonies, more innocents would vanish into the dark. Reyes turned to Kara. "We cannot save the galaxy by speeches. But we can save lives by truth. Find the pattern. Show me where they will strike next." 4 days, Kara and her team worked without rest. They charted every disappearance, every false signal, every blackout zone. Slowly, a map emerged, a hidden design beneath the lies. The attacks were not random. They formed a ring, closing tighter and tighter around a cluster of neutral systems. Her voice shook as she delivered the answer. "They're building a noose. And when it closes, those worlds will be gone." Reyes nodded grimly. "Then we strike before the noose tightens." The Council would call it paranoia. The galaxy would call it reckless. But humanity no longer cared. They had seen the burned wreckage, heard the last voices of the lost. And so, while alien diplomats continued to toast the treaty with golden words, humanity prepared their shadow fleets for something darker. The galaxy still believed in peace. The galaxy still believed in hope. But the convoy had vanished, the wreckage told the truth, and in the silence between the stars, humanity understood what no one else dared to admit. The peace was already broken. The first systems went dark without warning. One by one, stars that once pulsed with the chatter of trade routes fell silent. No signals. No traffic. No life. Traders who tried to pass through never returned. On maps across the galaxy, these regions became blank holes. The Alien Council explained it away with smooth voices. "Old war damage," they said. "Broken relays, unstable sectors. Repairs will take time." But Earth's maps told another story. In the underground chambers of the Earth Council, analysts placed glowing markers across a galactic map. The blackouts were not random. They formed perfect arcs, creeping across the stars like a spreading infection. To most, the pattern was invisible. To humanity, it looked exactly like a war plan. Kara stood before the Council, her eyes burning from sleepless nights. "They are building a cage," she said. "Every dark zone cuts off a route. Step by step, they are closing in on neutral systems. When the cage is complete, those worlds will fall without resistance. Commander Reyes leaned forward, his voice low. Then the war has already begun. Only no one admits it. The room fell silent. The truth weighed on them all. From that moment, Earth moved. Hidden fleets slid into shadow, following the cloaked warships that erased systems. Human stealth probes recorded their movements, collecting proof. Sometimes, a human patrol would clash with these ghost fleets in the dark. Lasers lit the silence of space for seconds, then vanished. The galaxy called these battles accidents. Humanity called them what they were, skirmishes in a secret war. On Mars, factories disguised as trade stations built weapons at full speed. The outer colonies armed themselves quietly. Civilian ships were fitted with hidden armor and cannons. Humanity prepared not for peace but for survival. Still, in public they wore the mask. Human diplomats continued to smile in council halls, shaking hands and raising glasses. But every toast tasted like ash. The disappearances grew bolder. A neutral mining world sent a desperate call for aid. Alien warships had arrived, wearing pirate flags. By the time any council fleet responded, the colony was gone. Its mines stripped, its people taken. The survivors who escaped told horror stories. Entire families dragged onto warships. Cities burned from orbit. The attackers did not fight like pirates, they fought like trained armies. The survivors whispered, they said it was peace. But they came with chains. The council dismissed them. But Earth listened. One evening, Kara intercepted a new transmission. She played it in the council chamber, her hands trembling. The alien voice was calm, too calm. The shadow phase nears completion. The second phase will begin soon. When the galaxy wakes, it will already be ours. Rhea's face hardened. They're not hiding anymore. They believe no one will resist. But someone would. Humanity began striking back, not openly, not yet. Human stealth ships targeted supply lines that fed the secret fleets. Fuel depots exploded in silence. Hidden weapon factories on remote moons went dark after sudden accidents. No one claimed responsibility, but every alien admiral felt it. Someone was hunting them. Rumors spread. Traders spoke of human ghost fleets that appeared from nowhere, striking like lightning, then vanishing. Small races whispered that humanity was the only species fighting the secret war. And slowly, fear turned into hope. Reyes knew the danger. If humanity was discovered, the galaxy might unite against them. But he also knew the greater danger. To do nothing was to let the galaxy fall into chains. The war that no one spoke of grew louder in the shadows. In the ruins of burned colonies, survivors whispered humanity's name. In the dark halls of alien empires, leaders cursed humanity's defiance. And across the stars, hidden battles raged, unseen by the masses who still clung to the illusion of peace. The galaxy believed the treaty still held. But in truth, the treaty was dead. Only the mask remained, and behind it, war burned brighter every day. The first human strike came without warning. No speeches. No banners. No announcement to the galaxy. Just silence, then fire. An alien warship, cloaked in darkness, drifted through a neutral sector. Its hull bore the false markings of a pirate crew, but its engines and weapons told the truth. It had just finished raiding a colony transport, dragging hundreds of civilians into its holds. Confident in its disguise, it powered down its shields and turned toward a hidden station. That was when the void cracked. A human stealth cruiser slid out of the black, its hull coated with new camouflage technology no alien scanners could detect. For one heartbeat, the alien ship did not react. Then the human vessel opened fire. The strike was surgical. Plasma lances cut through the warship's engines, freezing it in space. Torpedoes struck its weapon bays, turning them into glowing wreckage. Before the aliens could even send a distress call, the human cruiser vanished into shadow again. When scavengers later found the wreck, they whispered in fear. This was no pirate battle. This was something new. The hunters had become the hunted. From that moment, humanity changed the war. They did not strike openly, never in the light of day. Their fleets moved like ghosts, appearing only to destroy, then fading into silence. Alien empires searched for them, sending patrols across the black. But they found nothing. Humanity's stealth fleets had mastered the dark. On Mars, technicians celebrated each victory with quiet pride. They had built ships faster, smaller, deadlier than anything the galaxy had seen. Phantom class, they called them. To the enemy, they became nightmares whispered in war rooms. The galaxy began to notice. First came the rumors. Traders spoke of invisible fleets. Survivors of raids swore they had seen human ships strike from nowhere, cutting enemy warships apart before they could fire back. Small races, tired of being trampled, whispered, "The humans are fighting. The humans are protecting us." At first, the alien council dismissed it. Lies. Human propaganda. Nothing more. But then the losses grew. Supply lines vanished into flame. Weapon depots exploded without warning. Entire fleets disappeared in the dark. The galaxy could no longer ignore it. Inside the Earth Council chamber, the leaders gathered. The air was heavy with both triumph and dread. They had struck first blood, but the risk was great. Reyes stood at the head of the table, his eyes dark. "They will come for us now. We've shown our hand. But we had no choice. The galaxy must know someone will not bow." Kara leaned forward, her voice sharp. "The galaxy doesn't see yet. They hear rumors, yes, but they don't understand. We need proof, evidence of the betrayal, evidence of what these empires are building. If we show them, then maybe—" Her words trailed off. They all knew the truth. Maybe the galaxy would listen. Or maybe it would turn against humanity, calling them warmongers. But Reyes nodded. "Then we make them listen." The next strikes were not just attacks, they were messages. Human fleets targeted weapon factories hidden beneath treaty stations. They hit convoys filled not with food but with soldiers in disguise. Each strike was carefully recorded by human drones. Every burning wreck became proof. Then one night humanity made its boldest move yet. A galactic relay station used to spread council broadcasts across thousands of worlds was hijacked. The signal flickered, then changed. Billions of beings stared at their screens as images filled the air. They saw cloaked warships raiding colonies. They saw weapons banned by the treaty hidden in massive stations. They saw transports filled with prisoners, dragged into chains under the cover of peace. And at the end, one final image appeared, a human fleet standing in the dark, silent and unbroken. The broadcast ended with a single line, spoken in calm human voice: "This is not peace. This is conquest. Humanity will not bow." The galaxy exploded. Some races cheered. At last someone had spoken the truth. They sent envoys to Earth begging for alliance. Others raged, calling humanity liars, saying the evidence was forged. The great empires denied everything, their voices dripping with fury. But the mask had cracked. For the first time, billions doubted the treaty. For the first time, the galaxy looked not at the glowing scroll of peace, but at the shadows behind it. And in those shadows they saw humanity standing tall. In the war rooms of alien empires, commanders cursed. Their plan had been simple: lull the galaxy into sleep, then strike when no one could resist. But humanity had shattered the illusion. Humanity had struck first. One alien general snarled in rage, "They were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to hide behind their little blue world. Instead they dared to defy us." But defy them humanity did. The silent war was no longer silent. The galaxy was restless. After humanity's strikes, nothing felt stable. Trade routes grew empty. Worlds that once celebrated the treaty now watched the skies with fear. The glowing scroll of peace still floated in the council chamber, but its light no longer comforted anyone. It only cast longer shadows. And in those shadows, truth was waiting to break free. Kara worked without pause in the underground command center. For weeks, she had been chasing encrypted transmissions between the great empires. Late one night, her screen lit with a breakthrough. The message unfolded line by line, clear as day. It was not talk of peace. It was a battle order. She called Reyes at once. The words spilled across the council chamber. Phase 2 begins. Secure the colonies. Silence resistance. Prepare the silent strike. The room froze. This was the proof they needed. Not rumors, not whispers, but their enemy's own words. Reyes stood tall. His voice carried like iron. "We will not hide this. The galaxy deserves to see what peace has cost them." The plan was daring. Humanity would hijack the galactic network, the same one the council used to spread speeches of unity. Billions of beings across thousands of worlds would see the truth at once. Technicians on Mars prepared the signal. Stealth fleets positioned themselves near key relay stations. When the order came, everything would move in perfect silence. At the appointed hour, Reyes gave the command, "Begin." Screens across the galaxy flickered. At first, people thought it was a glitch. Then the images appeared. They saw treaty stations filled with hidden weapon factories. They saw prisoners dragged into transport bays, chains clamped around their arms. They saw fleets marked as dismantled, still flying in perfect formation. And then came the voices. Alien admirals speaking coldly of conquest. Politicians toasting to peace, while secretly signing battle plans. Word for word, the lies unfolded before billions of witnesses. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Ambassadors shouted over one another. Some denied the images. Some demanded answers. Some sat in silence, their faces pale. The glowing treaty scroll hung above them, mocked by the truth spilling across every screen. But humanity did not stop there. The broadcast cut to live footage, human stealth drones circling a massive war station. Cameras showed row after row of forbidden weapons, glowing under shielded hangars. It was undeniable. The empires had broken their own treaty from the beginning. Rhea's voice filled the galaxy. Come, steady, unyielding. You were told this was peace, but you see the truth with your own eyes. They never ended the war. They only changed its mask. We do not fight for conquest. We fight because we refuse to be chained. The galaxy must choose, silence in chains or defiance in freedom. The reaction was immediate. On small worlds, crowds poured into the streets, shouting against the empires. Miners dropped their tools and raised makeshift weapons. Refugees wept, shouting humanity's name as their only hope. Some species, long ignored, pledged open support. Their leaders sent messages to Earth. We will stand with you. We will not bow. But others raged. Empire fleets scrambled into motion, their leaders screaming that humanity had forged the evidence. They called Earth liars, deceivers, rebels. To them, humanity's broadcast was not truth, it was war. And in a sense they were right. The mask was gone. There was no pretending anymore. In the hidden war rooms of the empires, panic spread. They had planned to reveal their power on their own terms, with the silent strike crushing the galaxy in one sudden blow. But humanity had ripped their timing apart. Now every world was watching, every citizen was questioning, every ally was wavering. One alien ruler slammed a clawed fist against the table. The humans have poisoned the galaxy against us. If we do not strike now, we will lose everything. And so the orders were given. The silent strike would not wait. On Earth, Reyes and Kara stood before the glowing map of the stars. Red markers spread like fire. Fleets were moving. Stations were powering up. The galaxy had only days before the full weight of the empires came crashing down. Kara's voice was soft but steady. We forced them into the open. The mask is broken. Now the real war begins. Reyes looked at her, his face carved with resolve. Then humanity will meet them. We did not come this far to kneel. Outside, the human fleets prepared. Engines roared. Shields lit. Weapons hummed. The shadow war was over. The next battle would burn in the open for all the galaxy to see. The treaty was shattered. The lies were gone. And in the silence before the storm, the galaxy held its breath. The galaxy trembled. The silent strike had begun. From the dark edges of space, the empires unleashed their hidden fleets. War stations powered their cannons. Swarms of drones cut through the void. Planets that had once cheered the peace treaty now shook under the weight of invasion. But this time humanity was ready. On Earth, the command chambers pulsed with energy. Reyes stood at the center, surrounded by star maps filled with moving red and blue lights. Kara worked the communication arrays, her voice steady even as alarms echoed around her. Reports poured in. Colonies under siege, relay stations falling, rebel worlds rising. The galaxy was on fire. Reyes raised his hand. The room fell silent. His words were calm, but each one struck like steel. We do not fight alone anymore. The mask is broken. The galaxy sees the truth. Today humanity does not lead a rebellion. We lead a coalition. And across the stars the coalition answered. The miners of Tora 9, armed with scavenged weapons, ambushed an Empire patrol. The sky of Vera burned as their resistance fighters shot down invader drones. Fleets from once neutral worlds ignited their thrusters, joining human ships in daring formations. It was chaos, but it was unity. Species that had never fought side by side now shielded each other with fire and steel. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was not divided by empire lines. It was bound by survival. The greatest battle unfolded near the twin suns of Arkan's reach. The empires had gathered their war stations there, colossal platforms bristling with cannons strong enough to crack planets. Their fleets surrounded the stations in layered rings of firepower. It was meant to be a fortress no one could breach. But humanity had a different plan. Stealth frigates slipped past the outer layers carrying demolition teams. Coalition fleets staged false retreats, drawing enemy ships away from their stations. And then, with perfect timing, humanity's command gave the order, now. Explosions rippled across the war stations as hidden charges went off. Shields flickered. The coalition charged in. The battle raged for hours. Human destroyers cut through enemy lines with brutal precision. Alien resistance ships dove into the chaos, their pilots screaming battle songs in languages never before heard in the same channel. Kara coordinated the chaos, weaving broken fleets into a living shield around the coalition's heart. At the height of the battle, Reyes himself took the command ship into the thickest fire. His voice echoed across every channel. This is our stand. For every world betrayed, for every promise broken, for every voice silenced, fight with us. The galaxy roared in answer. One by one the war stations fell. The first went up in a chain of fire, lighting the twin suns brighter than ever before. The second cracked open, spilling wreckage across space like shattered bones. The third tried to flee, but human cruisers locked it down until resistance bombers delivered the final strike. The last station stood longest. Its cannons cut holes through coalition lines, tearing ships apart. Hope trembled. For a moment, it seemed the empires might still crush them. But then, from the shadows came the smallest ships, the human stealth frigates that had once been invisible watchers. They flew straight into the station's core. For seconds the galaxy held its breath. And then the heart of the fortress exploded. The last war station was gone. The battlefield fell silent. Wreckage drifted across the suns, glowing in the light. Coalition ships floated battered, scarred, but alive. Voices from every corner of the galaxy cried out in victory. The Empire's fleets, broken and leaderless, retreated into the dark. Their voices, once full of threats and commands, were silent. Humanity had not just survived. Humanity had led the galaxy to victory. Weeks later, a new council gathered, not in the cold halls of Empire stations, but on neutral ground under the open skies of a free world. This time there was no glowing scroll of lies. There was no hidden agenda. Humanity stood at the center, not as conquerors but as witnesses. Reyes addressed them with no ceremony, no grand gestures. Only truth. Peace is not written in false treaties. Peace is built in trust, in sacrifice, in standing together. We will not sign away our freedom again. The galaxy must be guarded not by empires, but by all of us, together. The chamber erupted in agreement. And so, a new pact was forged. Not an empire treaty but a coalition of worlds, open, unmasked, defended by unity. In the years that followed, the scars of war slowly healed. Planets rebuilt. Refugees returned home. The great fleets of conquest were broken down, their metals turned into tools of creation. And through it all, humanity remained watchful, not rulers, not tyrants, but guardians. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never again would peace be built on lies. Kara stood one night under the stars, looking at the endless sky. Reyes joined her, his hands folded behind his back. She whispered, "Do you think it will last this time?" Reyes looked at the horizon, where ships of many species now flew side by side. His answer was quiet but filled with certainty. Not unless we protect it. Not unless we remember. True peace is never given. It is made. The stars above glowed brighter, free of war's shadow. For the first time in centuries the galaxy breathed in peace. This time it was real.